So this one looked a bit odd on the website, but it occurred to me that my Deep Space Nine collection was actually pretty slim pickings at the moment, and of course the Saratoga is a direct lead in to the Deep Space Nine story, and it is the NCC-31911, and it is the ship that begins Commander Sisko's I want to say Commander Sisko. I mean, he was Captain Sisko, but I can't remember if that came before or after where he was at the start here. But anyway, this is a good old Miranda class ship. It's actually the studio model of the Reliant minus the roll bar with some sensor pods strapped on. And to me, it just looks really naked. It's without the roll bar. It's really odd. I can't say that I'd noticed in Emissary that it was actually missing the roll bar, because I think we see it from behind quite a lot, so as it's approaching the Borg cube and opening fire on it for whatever it's worth, basically. But Wolf 359, as we know, as you may know, was a complete and utter disaster for Starfleet, largely because it was throwing ships like this at it, and it didn't have dedicated warships, so all it could do was throw its standard Explorer class ships at it. And because Picard had been assimilated at that point, Picard knew exactly where and how to hit them and completely shredded the fleet, basically. The magazine notes that it's the first time that we see families on board a sort of a non-Galaxy class vessel. And it's probably absolutely spot on, but I don't think we ever did particularly. But that, of course, is why Sisko's son and his wife were on board with him, because clearly there were families on board, which again, sending ships with families on board up against the Borg seems quite harsh. Ultimately, Sisko does get off, but the Saratoga is destroyed in the battle along with countless other Federation ships. Although, interestingly, Wolf 359, they obviously did what they could because they weren't using CG loss at that point, and they kit bashed for all they were worth to create a sort of a wrecked fleet of ships in the aftermath. But we never saw any Klingon ships in the mix, and that always struck me as being a bit odd, because you would think that at that point in time the Klingons would come to help. So it was quite interesting that we didn't really see that conceptually, but it's just one of those things. They could only do so much, I guess. But this is, so as I said, this is a Miranda class adaptation. And it is interesting because I don't think I've ever seen one that doesn't have something on its roll bar. Sometimes we see them with modified roll bars, which of course was synonymous on the Reliant from Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, that had photon torpedo launchers on its roll bar, as many of them did. That was kind of the way of it. Or the roll bar was used to mount an extra sensor pod. But with this version, apparently, the sensor pods are actually sort of mounted on the outriggings that I'll show you in a second, which are quite curious little things. And that's what sort of made me go, when I saw it, because I seriously can't say that I noticed this on screen, even though I did watch it quite a bit, because we didn't see any of the Wolf 359 battle live at the time. All we see is the Enterprise catching up with the results of it later in the episode in Best of Both Worlds. So this is actually the only time we see it on screen happening. So you see, it's these little orange guys here. I was just like, why on earth have you got these strange little orange spikes coming off the side of your ship, guys? Because they're not even phasers, apparently, according to the magazine, and they're just little sensor pods. But it is obviously a classic, Reliant Miranda type vessel, but just lacking the roll bar, which is weird, because you then get to see what's underneath it here, which you don't normally see. So this at least gives me an excuse to populate my Deep Space Nine shelf a little bit more. Nice little model. So this magazine's got a lot of detail on it as it normally has. Nice image of it there. And it had a Vulcan captain, which is perhaps the first time we've seen a Vulcan captain of a Federation ship. was of the Starfleet ship rather. So some more nice establishing shots there. A bit more the backstory of Rule 359 engagement, and you can see there just how many times the poor old Reliant from Star Trek 2 has been reused. So there's the Saratoga, and there's also the Britannia there as well, and of course that's the original Reliant there. So they got their money's worth out of that model. There's no two ways about it. They really did. Yeah, so it's a nice little model, nice magazine. It's another Miranda for my collection, but it's a genuine variant, I guess, compared to what's come before. So I wouldn't go out of my way to get it normally, but it just occurred to me that there are very few unique ships in Deep Space Nine, because of course what we see is a lot of reused existing Federation ships, which I might have for other reasons. So at least I can say that this one is legitimately linked to the Deep Space Nine storyline in particular. So that's it for that one, and I will crack on with the rest of this little haul.